Hey guys, Landon here with FieldAgentResource.com. Today we're going to talk about an app called WeGoLook, where you can earn extra money doing tasks on behalf of insurance companies as an independent field agent. Now I have another video out here called The Ultimate Guide to Earning Money as a Field Agent. So if you're interested in the general concept of what it is, how much money you can make, and all the pros and cons of it, I encourage you to check that video out. Because it's going to talk about field agent work in general as it applies to lots of different apps and places to find work. But again, in this video, we're going to talk about WeGoLook. I'll dive a little bit into what field agent work is just because it applies to the app. But again, I encourage you to check that one out if you're curious about other opportunities once you finish this video. So without further ado, let's talk about WeGoLook. So WeGoLook is an app that connects companies such as insurance companies with independent contractors that live local to areas that they have an interest in an asset. So for example, let's say that there is an insurance company and one of their customers has wrecked their vehicle. And in order to get this process started, they need some initial photos and notes about the vehicle. But the vehicle is located in Timbuktu, and for them to send somebody out is going to be ridiculously expensive because they don't have any agents close by, they don't have any adjusters they can send out. Whatever situation is preventing them from affordably sending somebody out. I use the word affordably sort of liberally because they probably could, but it's more cost effective if they can find somebody that lives local to that address to just head over there and take the photos they need and make some notes in an unbiased way. And so that's where WeGoLook comes in. So an insurance company or any other company such as an appraiser or maybe a landlord that has remote property that needs to get an eyes on that asset in a sort of real-time way without actually being there, can go to a company like WeGoLook and say, hey, we need a field agent that lives nearby here and we're willing to pay them $25 to head over there and take these photos for us. So WeGoLook sources an agent to do that and everybody sort of wins. The insurance company gets somebody to head out there and get them the photos they need, or maybe it's a mortgage lender that's doing an appraisal report that needs some photos of the property from the street. They go to WeGoLook, they pay WeGoLook a little bit of money, and then WeGoLook pays you a little bit of money. And generally that little bit of money is actually a pretty decent chunk of money when you extrapolate it out because you're going to earn somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'm going to say $12 on the low end to $25 on the high end typically. To do these simple little tasks. And that's actually pretty good money because most of them require you to just hop out of your vehicle, take 5, 10, 15 minutes worth of imagery and then upload them and call it a day. The only downside is that you do have to pay for gas and the time it takes to commute to that location from your own pocket. So you do have to be a little bit thoughtful about when you accept a look, as they're called inside the app, because if you're gonna have to drive 2 hours, it might not be worth your time. Some of them though get up to $50, $60 depending upon their needs, so that might be worth it. That said, I live in one area, I work in another, and I am often in this third area, so I have like a triangle that I typically commute around in. And so I often find myself in areas where these looks are being requested anyways. And that's why it can become really lucrative to me just to like swing by on a quick detour after work and take a couple photos of a property that's located halfway between my job and my home. And that's essentially free money that takes no time for me to do. And I think that that's pretty cool. I'm not necessarily sure if you could make a full-time income doing this. I mean, partly that would require an understanding of what your expenses are and what you aim to earn. You're not going to replace all types of careers doing field agent work, but you can make a decent chunk of money. I probably average, I don't know, 100 to 250 extra dollars a month. There's been some months where I've done a lot more than that. There's been a couple months where, $100 was probably lucky to get there just because there wasn't a volume of orders. But that's just kind of the name of the game, and that's part of the reason I think that this works a lot better as extra income than calling it a full-time career. Now, that could be different for other locations. I'm in central Iowa, and I suppose if you lived in a big city, or maybe you live in an area where there's other insurance companies contracting with them, maybe there's a higher volume of orders. Maybe you can earn more money doing it. But in my opinion, it's just a good app to make extra money. Probably not an app where I would be counting on it to pay your bills. And of course, your experience may differ. So that's kind of a little bit about the payment or expectations of what you can earn, but we'll talk about how you get paid. So every week on Fridays, they pay you for the prior week's earnings. So you do have to wait a little bit to get paid. But the good news is that you can really work at your own leisure. Often, with like delivery apps or ride sharing apps, you're going to work only when somebody requests a ride or a delivery, and then you have to do it right then. With WeGoLook, you typically have a little bit of a grace period from when you accept the assignment to when you actually complete it. So it fits well into a wide variety of different lifestyles. If you're really busy, that's great because you can say, well, I don't have time to do this today right now, but I'll be in that area tomorrow or in a couple days, and then you can schedule it for that time. Sometimes you do have to schedule with a contact before you can actually head there to do the assignment. Typically that's with cases involving vehicles, but for the most part, it's pretty easy to schedule something and say, hey, can we do this on Friday? I'm going to be over there from 10 to 2. Can we schedule something in that window? And the best way to maximize your income is to really look at the available jobs on WeGoLook and then think about it in terms of what your commute will be, how you can plan together your route, when you're going to be in that area anyways, and try to group them and lump them together in a way that's going to maximize your revenues. So if you're going to drive 2 hours one day, try to find other looks that are on that same route if possible, and then try to schedule things that day as well. That kind of brings us to the interface and how you schedule looks. So there's 3 different areas that are primarily inside the app that you're going to frequent. The first is the available look section. The second is the My Looks tab. And then the third would be your accounts tab, where you can see your account activity, such as your transactions, deposits to your balance, withdrawals to your bank, things of that nature, how you're doing with assignments. But the 2 that are most important are going to be the available looks and the My Looks. So every look starts obviously in the available look section. It's going to show you how far away that look is, where it's located, and how much it's paying. Often, in my experience, for every hour or 2 that a look goes unclaimed, it increases by $2. I don't think that that's a perfect science. I think that there's some looks that increase at a slower pace. Some looks are locked in at a certain rate. I don't know what their methodology is for determining it, but I've gotten to the point in doing this where I have a pretty good idea of what areas there must not be any lookers to accept assignments at, because I can really watch those skyrocket in price and then accept them at a point in time that it makes it reasonable for me to do that. Once I've accepted the assignment, then it goes over to the My Look section, and I either have to schedule it if it's something that doesn't require contacting a customer or something, or it will say schedule now, and they'll give you a phone number to call, and you reach out to that person and you let them know when you can be there, try to work something out with them, and then you head there. And then once you get to the location, you open the app back up. It's going to geotag all of your imagery, and inside the app, note your GPS coordinates so they can prove that you were there. And then you take your photos that you need to take within the app, you upload them within the app, take all the notes within the app, and then drive away. And once it's approved, you will get paid the following week. If you get to the site and you don't complete the task exactly as they wanted, maybe you forget some photos or something, you do have to go back on your own dime. So be very thorough with how you do it. On the other hand, if something is canceled or if you arrive and there's nobody there, you typically get comped for it. You get comped, in my experience, $5 for any canceled order, and then you get comped half the rate of an assignment if you show up there and nobody's there, with the caveat that you do need to go back and complete the assignment before they reimburse you the half the balance. So those are a couple good things to note. In those situations, you're typically going to be in touch with their support agents, and I found that their support team is really great to work with. They can be a little persistent at times if you're slow to get a hold of a customer to schedule something. And that can get a little bit aggravating because you're like, I'm working a job, I'm doing this and this and this and this, trying to balance all these things. And then you want me to call this person every 4 hours and get on their nerves to schedule something. So there's a lot of times where I'll have text messages and emails from the WeGoLook support staff like, hey, are you going to do anything about scheduling this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying, but the person's not answering their phone. I'm trying to leave voicemails, trying not to be annoying. But I would say in terms of the support, it's great support. If something pops up, then I need to reach out to them and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this, or I can't get there. Can we push it back a day? They're usually pretty good about that. And if something pops up where you're there and you need reimbursement because of whatever thing, they're usually pretty good about that too. But again, you want to make sure that you're diligently trying to schedule with the contact or get it done by a certain time on the deadline. Otherwise, they'll start blowing up your phone. In terms of final thoughts, I think this is a great app. There's several apps. I have all of them that I'm aware of, and we'll hopefully add more as new ones become available on fieldagentresource.com that you can check out. But this is the first app I got involved with to do this type of work. I think it flies under the radar quite a bit. There's a lot of different ways to make extra money. And most of the people seem to migrate in the gig economy to deliveries and ride sharing and then earning money online. They do these like surveys and mystery shopping and all of these different ways to make money that you hear about. And I never really hear about anybody talk about things like WeGoLook, but I think it's kind of a unique way to earn extra money. I think that they pay really well for what you're doing. You don't have to have any special skills. There is an area where you can upload additional credentials or certifications that you have. Like for instance, I'm a notary, so I put that in there. If you're a drone pilot, you can add that. If you're a licensed adjuster, you can put that in there. If you're a car mechanic, you put that in there. There's a lot of different like skills that you can add to your profile, and I think that's supposed to affect the type of jobs that they prompt you for. I've only had one time in the last 2 years where I've had to use my notary, and so I'm not sure if that is something to expect a lot of in other areas. But in my experience, the only type of jobs I'm doing, even when I kind of changed some of the credentials that I had and skills, are just ones where I show up and take 5-6 photos and then drive off. And typically those photos are like, for instance, on a property inspection. You show up, you pull up next to the curb. You're going to take a photo of the house number on the mailbox or on the house to prove that you were there, in addition to the GPS. You're going to take a photo of a cross street sign as a secondary proof of showing up. And then you're going to take a photo of the front of the house, the left side, the right side, and you're done. You drive away. For vehicle inspections, they're usually like 15 minutes long, and they usually pay like $25, and you're going to hop out. You're going to take a photo of the front, back, all sides of the vehicle. They want to see an odometer reading. They want to see like the door jamb VIN tag. They want you to verify the VIN, some photos of the inside. Oddly enough, they often want you to put like a yardstick at the front and back to get the bumper heights. But other than that, there's not a whole lot that you need to do for those. Sometimes the customer will say, hey, can you add this to the notes? And you'll do that. But you're not working for the insurance company. You're not speaking on their behalf. You're there strictly to get the photos. And sometimes customers don't understand that. And so they can get a little frustrated because they think you're working on behalf of the insurance company. You are in a way, but they'll think that you have a little more pull with the insurance company when you don't have any. And maybe they have been stressed over getting these pictures taken so they can get their claim processed, and maybe it's taken a while. So those are some situations where maybe you'll run into some people that are disgruntled, but for the most part, you show up, you take your photos, people are just happy to be making progress, or you show up and you take photos of the property without having to contact anybody, nobody knows you're there, and everything is good. So I think it's a cool way to make extra money. Again, you can make an extra $100, $200 a month, probably, maybe more if you're in a high volume area. I don't know, maybe a little less if you're in an area where they're not really active in, but it's definitely worth checking out. And I hope that this video was insightful and intrigued you on checking out the app. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And of course, check out fieldagentresource.com to get involved in the community and learn about other ways to make money doing this type of work.